This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the individuals participating in the show. All persons described or mentioned in the podcast should be considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. This podcast contains subject matter such as violence and graphic descriptions along with adult language, which may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
In 1903, in a very small town in Iowa, a creature descends upon the town for several nights and is never seen again. Is he still out there? What creature was it? Was it of this world? Was it a cryptid? Or was it something beyond belief? You're listening to the Mysterious Brews podcast, and tonight we bring you the case of the Van Meter Visitor.
Welcome to a deep, dark, dank, moist basement somewhere in the bowels of Georgia. Well, Coach, we've had some unseasonably nice weather for the 1st of August, and everybody in the South's kind of like, we're all going to die.
Yeah. Instead of enjoying it.
Yeah, we're all just...
Man, like, we can actually stand outside for a little bit and not die.
Yeah.
Like, no, we gonna die.
We gonna die. She gonna come back around. She gonna make us pay.
Man, like, this has been the rainiest summer I have ever seen in my entire life. I can't describe how much rain my little town got on Saturday. And my fiance was coming into town, and I called her, and I'm like, like, baby, are you being safe? She's like, well, yeah. And I was like, how bad is it raining where you are? And she's like, it's not. I asked her where she was. She's like, I'm south of Chattanooga. She said 3 miles before she exited for me, it started raining. It was dry, completely dry before then. But we must have got freaking 10 inches of rain in 2 hours. It was a monsoon and would not stop.
We sit at like the base of a hill, and everything for, I would say, within about, I don't know, the last week of June up until the middle of July would just kind of skirt around us. And then while I was in the great city of Athens, which, let me explain something to you. At my age, everything in that town is uphill. Everything. And I mean, like, you can't walk anywhere without, it's seriously, we walked uphill both ways to school town. It's awful. And let me tell you what a genius is that's in trouble.
That's why you shouldn't support a team that would put their
city on it, or their team on a hill.
Yeah, put their team in a city like that. It's just ridiculous.
So someone had the bright idea to do a scavenger hunt around the campus at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the middle of July in middle Georgia. The heat index that day, there was a heat advisory. The heat index that day got up to 114. I would have broke out the contract and said, please show me, it's like Major League, please show me in this contract where it says I have to be out 114 degree heat to teach children online. We had one fallout, ambulance called.
Like, why do they even try to do stuff like that during, your planning and stuff? Like, my nightmare is when they pull out them big ass Post-it notes and say, we're going to do breakout sessions and let's
here, who's going to get the marker? Who's going to get the marker?
Explain to me how you encourage student engagement. I don't know. I engage them.
Yeah, let me explain something. You want to know my why? My why is to keep my lights on at this point in my career.
Yeah, because I can't watch college football if there's no power at my house.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
My wife and son have grown accustomed to air conditioning in the South, and if I mess that up, they will kill me.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. My why is because I like to eat, and I have an extensive vinyl collection I got to keep up with.
Well, you never worked with him. I don't even know if you interacted with him, but the guy that I was working with down at the Trailer World down there across from this football stadium, when I first took that position, he looked at me and he said, I told him one day, I said, man, these kids are wearing me out. And he said, you come to work for the kids. And I just looked at him. He goes, some days it's the kids under your roof. Some days it's the kids under these roofs.
You damn straight. I don't have kids under this roof other than this knucklehead dog that acts a fool.
So inquiring minds want to know, how's the neighbor?
Let me tell you something.
Breaking news, breaking news.
We have turned a 180. She got her meds right or something because...
Y'all doing Bible study together now?
No, not Bible study, but she's like my damn best friend. She told me she's going to come get me up to walk with her at 5 a.m. I said, you better not.
You better not. You'll get a cussing.
Yeah. She brought me lunch like 3 days in a row at 5 a.m. Left them for me on my porch.
Did you let the dog eat half of it, see if he died?
Like looked right into the Ring camera that I only have because of her and said, Coach, get up. You got things to do today.
Dang.
Like complete 180. Every time I get out of my car, she's on her porch. She'll be like, Coach, how are you this evening? I mean, dude, it's like, I don't know if she's just trying to get closer to me. Like, I didn't eat the lunches. I'll be honest with you.
You can bury the hilt up into your chest.
I didn't eat the lunches. There's a pediatrics place very close to me. Like, I mean, to say it's in walking distance would be a joke. It's like 20 yards away. And they got like a little free pantry, and I went and put the food in there. And because it was like canned, it was everything that I don't eat, like canned tuna and cornbread mix and this, that, and the other. I think she brought me cornbread mix for lunch. Anyway, I put it in there, and then like somebody was like, well, do you think she poisoned it? And I was like, oh, crap. So I went back over there, and it's already been taken, so...
You ain't read about nobody dying from Jiffy cornbread mix,
I
have you?
haven't read that yet, but you never know.
Well,
you never know. I hope not, truly. But no, it's been quite pleasant. I'm not a big fan of being her friend, but I'm definitely more of a fan than being her mortal enemy.
I would tend to agree with you.
I promise you that much.
So I read this email to Coach before we started recording, and I'm not going to read the entire thing to the audience, but we got a very nice, sweet email about our Summer Wells case, and the lady is just referred to as the East Tennessee small town podcast listener, and has given us a couple of cases to look into. What she divulged in her email, we kind of theorized could be going on over there in East Tennessee. So she kind of put some neon signs on our theories. But just wanted to let her know that we did receive your email. This has been a crazy back-to-school session. And I know it's hard for y'all to believe, but no shit. I went back to school July 17th. So,
jeez, man, really?
Yeah, we had 12 days of pre-planning.
Holy Toledo.
And everybody's like, but you get out so much earlier. And I broke out the old calendar, and I'm like, yeah, that's 3 whole days before y'all do. I'll gladly give up I don't know, 8 of them 12 just to have a little bit longer on the summer. The only other thing that we got going on the Patreon front, and I have, of course, clicked off of it, but Miss Winford is keeping us abreast of the West Memphis 3 goings on, and I'm sure y'all have seen that if you keep up with that. There was a judge that has ordered the testing, DNA testing for the hairs and the ligatures in that case. There was a Facebook post. George Jarrett released something the other day, I think, kind of saying the same thing about the the DNA testing has been ordered by the judge. It could come back as quickly as 10 days. It just depends on the schedule of the lab. If the perpetrators in that case are still alive, I got a feeling they're not sleeping real well right now. There was another. The artist known as Beerwood Bigfoot Ghost YouTube channel. We did him a shout out.
It is a great name too.
It is. He is still churning those out. So if you're into obviously you are if you're listening to us, but go over there to YouTube and we're going to give him another shout out. Beerwood Bigfoot Ghost, or BWBG, on the YouTube channel. Speaking of which, they about to screw themselves. I saw a thing last night where they going to start requiring photo ID to watch videos on YouTube. The hell they are. You ain't getting a picture of my ID.
They're what?
Yeah. They're supposedly Spotify, Hulu, YouTube, somebody else is like, you need to do this because that way we know you're not a bot, or that way we know you're not watching things you're not supposed to. How about this? How about no?
Yeah, and there's a certain genre of entertainment that, let's just say, adults enjoy.
Yeah, the state of Georgia has joined coalition with.
Yeah. I wouldn't know, but I've been reported that several of those websites are no longer available in the state of Georgia or Alabama or Tennessee because they're protesting these new age verification requirements that you got to, and then other ones are requiring you to sign into your Google just to view those type of images. It's like, man, no.
I mean, they're going to, and somebody said in the little comment section I saw about YouTube, it's like, and this is the day that YouTube died.
Well, though I used to partake in such websites, I'm happy to say I no longer do. But there's no way, if I did, would I sign into my Google to allow God and everybody at Google to know? No. So
no, it ain't happening, Captain.
All that stuff came along right about the time that I no longer partook in that kind of stuff.
Well, they about to make him Truck Stop Dirty magazine Hole in the Walls real famous again.
Yeah, seriously. Speaking of which, I saw one in Chattanooga last time I was there. We drove by, and it was like a dang movie theater, and I was like, no way.
Yep, Pee Wee Herman kind of stuff.
That's exactly what I said.
I did too last time, because we drove by it coming around 24 looking down into downtown. I was like, look how big that thing is.
That's the one.
I know.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah.
Ain't no way. I said, ask Pee Wee Herman how dangerous those type of places can be.
That'll kill you, courier, right there. All right, ladies and gents. So that's enough of the shenanigans. Let's get into it. We are talking about the one and only Van Meter visitor. The small town of Van Meter, Iowa has a checkered past, with only the oldest of residents remembering what transpired long ago. There's a story about something very peculiar. In 1903, the first teddy bear was introduced to America. The first transatlantic radio message was sent from the United States to England, and Panama proclaimed its independence from Colombia. The beginning of the 20th century was an exciting time. More and more young people were looking to further their education in the area of science. The mountain gorilla had recently been discovered, and it was a time when unknown large-bodied animals were still being found in remote regions of the world. Over a series of fall nights in the town of Van Meter, Iowa, several respected prominent men reported seeing a creature. These were not your average small-town farmers or drunks. These were well-respected pillars of the community, if you will.
Yeah, people that would not benefit reputation-wise for making something like this up.
Not at all. Not at all. The creature was said to look like a cross between a bat and a man. The reports say it produced a foul odor whenever or wherever it went, had enormous smooth-looking wings, and shot a blinding light from a horn protruding from its head. It could also fly at blinding speeds. Now, the creature was first seen on Tuesday morning, September 29th, 1903, by Ulysses G. Griffith. Now, Mr. Griffith was an implement dealer in the heart of the town's business district. Now, you may be asking yourself, Seth, what's an implement dealer? Well, he sells them their tractor accessories. They call them implements. And I lost my place. His account was documented by historian and prominent Van Meter visitor expert, one Chad Lewis. Chad, along with his colleagues Noah Voss and Kevin Lee Nelson, published the book Van Meter Visitor in May of 2013. In their book, they recounted what Mr. Ulysses said. Quote, "As I pulled into Van Meter at the all too often solitary time of 1 a.m., I noticed something different. My attention was drawn to the top of the Mather and Greg's building. On the roof was something unusual and out of place. There was a light where there had not ever been one before. As I continued down the road and drew near to the light, I tried to work through the logical possibilities of what the light could have been. One of my first thoughts was a troublesome one, assuming it might be burglars. As this thought passed into my mind, I cautiously approached closer. Before I was able to draw very near the building, something unexpected happened. I was relieved yet startled when the light mysteriously moved across the street. It was suddenly clear that I didn't worry about burglars any longer. I was confounded as to what I had been watching. The light appeared on the roof of another building, except on the opposite side of the street. My thoughts and heart quickened with this new observation. How could something have moved like that? As quickly as the unusual light appeared and mysteriously moved across the street, it simply disappeared altogether. Eventually reaching my home in Van Meter, the events of the evening played over and over in my mind." End quote. So Wednesday night, so that was Tuesday morning. So Wednesday, the next evening, another member of the community, this time the town's doctor, Dr. Fred Alcott, saw the creature. The good doctor had fallen asleep in a room in his office when he was awoken by some blinding light. The same light Mr. Griffith had seen the night before. Dr. Alcott got dressed and rushed outside to confront whoever had the audacity to shine a light into his room. With gun in hand, the good doctor was taken aback as he saw what was producing the light. Dr. Alcott would later describe the creature as, quote, "an unholy combination of man and bat," end quote.
I'd be scared, just to be honest with you. If some 9-foot man bat with a with a spotlight horn come flying at me, dude, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna see what Kansas has to offer.
Yeah.
Talk there about two movements, the bowel movement and the physical movement. Shit and run.
I'm out.
Yep.
I promise.
Shit. Snake.
You know, as much as I would like to see Bigfoot, I know me. You know me. I would be the scaredest little bitch you ever seen in your life. There's no way I could my little mortal body could handle, my little mortal brain rather could handle seeing a Sasquatch. I would never be the same.
No, and
Never.
see, I've heard enough horror stories about, like the newest one I saw today was that Small Town Monsters documentary where they interview a bunch of people that's had sightings. There was a guy that was like a Green Beret in Vietnam, and he was doing wilderness camp stuff, and he got dressed one morning, was packing up his tent, and they were like, dude, we're not done for another 3 days. He goes, y'all can stay out here if you want to. What I saw last night, I'm not ever sleeping in the woods again. And that's what I'm afraid of. It's something that it just warps your whole sense of reality. But anyway, back at it. The origin of the blinding light was a horn jutting out of the creature's forehead. Dr. Alcott opened fire at the creature, striking it 5 times with no effect. It would fly off unscathed. Later that same evening and into the early morning hours of Thursday morning, the creature is spotted again. This time, Clarence Dunn sees the creature. By this time, the rumors around town of a creature making nightly visits were being circulated. Mr. Dunn was aware of these so-called sightings and decided to keep an eye out for anything odd. He had positioned himself at the bank with his shotgun as he believed the Van Meter visitor was simply some clever burglars. Mr. Dunn's experience with the creature was quite different from the other 2 men's. According to Mr. Dunn, he was able to hear the creature, quote, as the town clock struck 1, I heard another noise. One I had not expected. The noise was confusing. It reminded me of garbled gasps for air by some unseen creature, whether wild animal or human. I thought it was perhaps someone strangling, but before I could investigate further or listen longer, a mysterious light shone full upon me through the front window. The light was revealed so sudden and bright that I was almost blinded. The light snapped off of me and darted about the room. I was able to garner a better glimpse of the source. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I could see a great form of some kind beginning to reveal itself. But just as suddenly as the light darted about the room, almost scanning for something, it swung back on me. Not being able to take the unpredictability anymore, I steadied the barrel of the shotgun towards the creature and fired. In my haste, I did not give chase to the outside or even open the window. To my stymied shock, my shot shattered the glass and tore apart the sash. What followed my blast was silence. Once it was officially morning, I surveyed the crime scene with fresh eyes, only to find a set of 3-toed footprints. I made plaster cast of the footprints, end quote. Now, these plaster casts have never been brought forward since that fateful morning. Now, there is a cryptozoologist, one Mr. Lauren Coleman, who has a footprint of something like the Van Meter visitor in his International Cryptozoology Museum. It is not known if Mr. Coleman's were fabricated for the display or if they are the very casts Mr. Dunn took. Now, Thursday evening, same day, fast forward a couple of hours, one Otto V. White, owner of a local hardware store, was the next to witness the creature. Mr. White was sleeping in his apartment above the hardware store when the creature woke him up with, quote, quite a start. As it perched atop a nearby telephone pole, it allegedly made an abrupt rasping racket. His account was documented in the book Van Meter Visitor. Quote, scarcely 15 feet away, and the now determined Mr. White took deliberate aim, and as with any good marksman, in one slow exhale, he pulled the trigger and fired. The creature did not fall to the ground, as the ordinarily good shot Mr. White was expecting. Instead, at the very moment he fired, instantly its light was turned on him. The shot from his gun didn't have any effect on the creature other than to waken it. Mr. White's heart had to have jumped at this terrifying realization. He may have no way to defend himself.
Yeah, if you take a shotgun blast and it just like
shrugs it off.
No. Nope.
Yeah. Instead of assaulting its voyeurs with light or sound, it wafted a loud stench towards Mr. White. Mr. White recalled, quote, a powerful odor suddenly filling the air, end quote. The odor coming from the monster was so strong that it seemed to stupefy him. Oddly enough, in an experience already past capacity for unusual, Mr. White could remember no more about that night, end quote. That's a nice way of saying, look, dude, I freaked out. All I can tell you is I shot at it and I smelt something and that's it.
Well, you know, eyewitness testimonies, we both know is very unreliable anyway. But imagine dealing with a creature of this magnitude and then they're trying to get you to remember every detail. No. I don't remember any details other than being scared shitless.
I got to go back to sleep tonight. That's what I'm afraid of.
Imagine me with my sleep problems if I really did see this thing. I would never sleep again.
It would be the North Georgia sleep experiment.
Yeah, exactly. I'd never sleep again in the rest of my life. No.
So as the shot rang out, it woke Mr. White's neighbor, Sidney Gregg. Now, Mr. Gregg raced towards his door to see what the commotion was about. Allegedly, Mr. White and Mr. Gregg saw the animal make its way to the ground. Once it got on the ground, it stood up straight. Now, Mr. Gregg estimated the creature to stand about 8 feet in height. Whatever it was, the men stated that, quote, the light from its forehead was as bright as an electric headlight. Once again, the light darted about just as it had the nights before. When the visitor came to see Mr. Dunn and Dr. Alcott, it was moving about as if it was searching for something. Mr. Gregg could have been under less of a daze than that of O.V. White from the creature's stench, but he continued to watch on, doing his best to process this entirely baffling being, even as it flapped its great featherless wings. With the flapping of its wings, the creature took giant leaps, almost like that of a kangaroo. It was at this point that a train came wailing through the town, setting off the beast, which crouched down on all fours. It eventually galloped and took flight towards the old coal mine, which was located on the outskirts of town. So that Saturday, workers at a tile and brick factory in the same area where the old coal mine was located began to hear bizarre noises coming from the runoff gas and deep water-filled mine. Workers specifically recalled, quote, a ruckus cacophony, end quote, as those...
I love it. I just love the wording.
I know. As though Satan and a regiment of imps were coming forth for battle. Operations manager J.L. Pratt Jr. was still on the grounds at around 1 a.m. It was at that time that he reportedly heard all sorts of awful, quote, critter sounds, end quote, coming out of the place. Not long after he heard the sounds, he became the next witness to the Van Meter visitor. Mr. Platt Jr.'s experience was detailed as follows, quote, this time, however, the disturbing sounds did not stop, and in the flash of a moment, the monster appeared at the entrance. The shocking moment was not over, as directly behind the first monster there appeared another, somewhat smaller one. They both gave off the brilliant light that was as striking as it was blinding, end quote. Now, Mr. Pratt Jr. would have been just one of many witnesses to the creature, as all the men working the tile and brick factory approximated that the creatures were approximately 660 feet away. Now, a few of the braver men more than likely approached the mine entrance behind Mr. Platt Jr. He did have a good look at the monsters as they flew past, noticing their horn-like, bulging, radiating light proboscis on its head as they sailed away into the dark. As chilling as this experience may have been for the men present, they took comfort in their accidental discovery that they could rid them and the town of the Van Meter visitor. They had just discovered its lair, or so they would assume. Now, it would not take long before word of the discovery of the monster's lair spread across town. Everyone who could fight got ready for battle. Now, remember, it's 1903, and people were not above a good mob armed with torches, and in this case, not pitchforks, but guns. The mob of gun-toting men readied to rid the town of the beast, despite the fact that the creature had not made any evil movements towards anyone who had witnessed it. People had reported strange, scary sounds coming from the coal mine, so the mob, armed with to the teeth, gathered at the brickyard near the old mine. There they waited to ambush the creatures for approximately 4 hours. Growing tired and unenthused, the mob,
The moms, man.
they were pissed. The mob were startled when the creatures finally appeared. As soon as the beasts appeared near the mine, the men unleashed quite the volley of lead at them. It was reported that such volley would have, quote, sunk the Spanish fleet, end quote. Minus unearthly noises and a peculiar odor, the creatures were unfazed by the hail of bullets and slowly descended the shaft of the old mine. The men returned home and to work the next day, bewildered that the hail of gunfire did nothing to the creatures. As a last-ditch effort to protect the town, though it's unknown by whom came up with such idea, the mob bricked up the entrances to the mine, and this was, quote, the last time these creatures were ever seen, heard, or smelled again, end quote. So that's basically the story of the Van Meter visitor, and what we have now is some sciencey, nerdy stuff about what could have happened and some theories. Now, the size of the creature or the Van Meter visitor was reported by one of the witnesses to stand about 8 feet tall in height. No one ever really described the wingspan, so in order to provide you with an estimated guess as to what type of wingspan an animal that tall can have, let us nerd out scientifically and take a brief look at the largest animals to ever fly. The largest recorded male specimen of a pteranodon had a body length of about 8.5 feet. Most of that length, though, was its huge skull. When standing on all fours with wings folded, the pteranodon may have been close to the height of the Van Meter visitor. Now, the pteranodon had an estimated wingspan of 20.5 to 21.3 feet.
That thing was like, I mean, you want to talk about terrifying, brother.
Yeah. Now, the next one was Argentavis, one of the largest flying birds to ever live. It had a wingspan of about 16 foot 8 inches to 21 foot 4 inches. Pelagornis was another extinct bird that had a wingspan of 23 to 24.3 feet. Now, when Argentavis was on the ground, it could have stood as tall as 4 feet 11 inches or 5 foot 11 inches. Now, that is significantly shorter than the height reported of the Van Meter visitor. Now, remember, it was estimated the creature had a body length of 11 feet 6 inches. Now, using a ratio of body length to wingspan, the Van Meter visitor standing approximately 8 feet in height would need a wingspan of between 16 foot 8 inches to 23 feet 3 inches. No one ever estimated the wingspan. The only details about the wings was that they were large and bat-like and hairless. Now, the men who reported the story, who all witnessed the creature over the several nights, were men of the community in quote-unquote high standing within the town. Now, many researchers and historians theorize that it's unlikely these men would have risked their reputations by telling outlandish stories. It is plausible that these highfalutin men concocted the whole story to increase tourism to their small town. While it's plausible, I just don't believe that's the case.
Was there any proof that these people benefited from tourism? I mean,
no, and that's the other thing.
A good theory, but we're talking about the sheriff witnessed it, a businessman, a doctor. Like, what do they care? They have their own. You think a sheriff is going to concoct a story to encourage people to visit his town? He's going to want peace and quiet. He doesn't want to deal with the yahoos coming from God knows where.
I agree, man. I agree. Now, allegedly, there is some type of physical evidence, i.e. the footprint casts, But again, the original plaster casts, no one knows where they went off to. No one's ever come forward claiming to be in possession of the original cast or have replicas of the cast. And it could have been. This could be explained away as the story died down, someone just threw them away, or they were put into a trunk in an attic and it was just lost to time. Now, Chad Lewis, the author that I've quoted many times that wrote the book, Van Meter Visitor, has a background in psychology and found the article that recounted most of the details of the Van Meter Visitor story in the town's archives. He felt the credibility as quote-unquote high-standing members of the community meant that they wouldn't make up the story. Local librarian Jolena Walker worked with Mr. Lewis, and they found that some of the oldest members of the community still remembered the events of those evenings. Now, Ms. Walker stated that, quote, the people who witnessed the creature wouldn't want the publicity such a creature would bring, end quote. So the theories are kind of all over the place. In Mr. Lewis's book, he goes through a series of these theories as to what the creature could have been. The first one that he discusses is that the Van Meter Visitor was not unique, and it is just one incident of a large flying animal reported across a few other states.
Could we be looking at a Mothman type thing?
Well, and see, it kind of reminds me.
It doesn't match the description. The light on the head's kind of really, really, really weird, but
it's got like overtones of Mothman and a Thunderbird. Now, Mr. Lewis investigates a handful of other large flying animal reports, but states that he cannot directly connect them. Now, the Snallygaster is a more fanciful story of a creature than that of the Van Meter Visitor, and that's the only thing close to what he could find. But in 2021, the Daily Yonder published an article using a Photoshop image of a hypothetical bat version of the Van Meter Visitor. There have been a few more reports of large flying beasts recorded in recent years, as the author of the article, Liz Carey, states. In the 1980s, a man who had just moved to the area and hadn't heard anything about the legend of the Van Meter Visitor was walking near the coal mine and reportedly saw a 5-foot-long bat-like creature fly over his head. In the 2000s, another man and his family were driving home to Van Meter when they spotted what they said was a giant bird-like creature dead on the side of the road. When the man went back to investigate, the creature was gone. Around 2006, Lewis said a pastor waiting for a friend in Colfax, Iowa, spotted what he thought was a dragon in the sky. Upon returning home, he Googled, quote, Iowa dragon, and came across a picture of what he had spotted, and it was that of the Van Meter Visitor. Later in 2014, a couple camping in Iowa City reported an encounter with a giant bird. And then in 2020 in Boone, Iowa, Chad Lewis, the author, said someone reported seeing another giant bird. The person claimed, quote, when it flapped its huge wings, all I could see was light, dark, light, dark. It was a huge whoosh, 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 whoosh that I heard. I think if I was going to be put on record, I would come up with something better than light, dark, whoosh, 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 whoosh.
Yeah. It's not the most descriptive, but hey, we'll take it at this point.
I bet this person had on a wife beater that was stained with tobacco juice.
Yeah, probably.
So the next theory is that the whole...
No, it's 1903, man. It's overalls.
No. The whoosh, whoosh, light, dark was in 2020.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's definitely a wife beater situation.
Yeah, it is. It's got to be. Now, the next theory is that the whole thing was/is a hoax. And Mr. Lewis finds this one to be lacking because there seemed to be no definitive motive or culprit that lines up with all of the events of the story, and no one benefited from it. The people of the town that retold the story shortly after it occurred saw their story picked up by newspaper in Des Moines. Now, the residents of Van Meter received some quote-unquote dismissive articles written about them and their experiences and was written off as a hoax, end quote. So the next or third theory is that the whole thing was actually a UFO, or a UAP, as the kids say these days. The story of the Van Meter visitor occurred during a time before UFOs had become prevalent. Floating light sources that move at unnatural speeds may have been more likely attributed to a monster rather than that of a, quote, unworldly spacecraft. The fourth theory is that the whole thing is a misidentification of a natural creature. The weird thing about this theory is there really aren't any animals that lived in the area around Van Meter that could have been brought in that would make a good candidate for such misidentification.
Yeah, which animal emits a bright light from its horn?
Yeah,
Rhinoceroses don't.
That's what I was about to say. The rhinoceroses got them horns, but they don't glow, and they don't fly around with bat wings.
They might fly, but I know they don't emit light from them big old horns.
Now, the residents of Van Meter would have known what birds, mammals, and bats were in the area. None of the known animals that we know of could have produced a glowing horn either. The fifth theory is that the whole thing is paranormal in nature. Mr. Lewis cites some ghost stories of the brick factory in Van Meter as the basis for this idea, and all of the weird stuff that was going on in Van Meter was just ghosts. But again, there were no accounts of creatures having paranormal, or of the creature having paranormal tendencies. The sixth theory is mass hysteria. Now, there have been plenty of mass hysteria cases, and they have been documented throughout American history. Chad Lewis offered his skepticism to this idea, and he states that one of the hallmarks of mass hysteria is that everyone starts acting illogically and carelessly. Now, that did not seem to happen in Van Meter. The footprint cast are another piece of the story that does not align with mass hysteria, because the casts are literally physical evidence of the creature. Now, it doesn't help the case any because the casts no longer exist, or if they do, they have been put away somewhere. The final theory is that the Van Meter visitor was or is a trans or hyperdimensional being that we mere humans cannot perceive except for circumstances where it crosses into our reality. Could there have been a small population of these creatures living in the abandoned mine and any cave systems that may have been underneath? Possibly. Now, Tyler Stone is a photojournalist and paleo artist from Iowa, and he has a TikTok channel where he discusses paleontology and cryptozoology. He states that as an Iowan, he loves the Van Meter visitor because it's really the only homegrown cryptid for Iowans. Mr. Stone believes that the Van Meter visitor was not supernatural or demonic or from another dimension. He also dismisses the idea that it was a misidentified UFO. He explains that UFOs in the 1903 era or time frame were predominantly unidentified airships, such as big blimps with mechanical wings, propellers, and rudders. The Van Meter visitor, being a misidentified man-made airplane/blimp, doesn't hold water. When it comes to the residents misidentifying a known animal, this also doesn't work for him. The only large bird native to Iowa that sounds vaguely familiar, minus the horn, to the Van Meter visitor is the turkey vulture, but we know that's way too small. They don't get up to 8 feet. And they're not.
They're pretty big, though. I mean, don't get me wrong.
They're not active at night, neither.
That's true, too.
There really are 0 animals native to Iowa that could easily be mistaken for the Van Meter visitor. Now, Mr. Stone states that one popular theory among creationists is that the visitor was a surviving pterosaur. However, Iowa doesn't have a very good fossil record for dinosaur fossils. The only fossil that he knows about is a 3-inch fragment of a tail vertebra, probably from a hadrosaur. Now, just because we don't have their fossils doesn't mean there weren't surviving undetected pterosaurs in the area. Mr. Stone points out that other than the mine, where would such creatures hide? Where would they, or what would they feed on? How would they go undetected for so long only to be seen for a couple of evenings? He also believes that the more recent sightings should not be connected to the Van Meter visitor because there is only vague similarities in that it was a large flying animal. Now, Mr. Stone does not believe the theory that it was a publicity stunt either. He points to how obscure the story was until Chad Lewis and his co-authors popularized it in their book. Mr. Stone states that he believes that the key to the mystery comes from where they found the story. Quote, I think the Van Meter visitor is a turn-of-the-century newspaper hoax. You have to remember this was still the era of yellow journalism. Yellow journalism was where small newspapers would compete with each other for readers by trying to find the most exciting and sensational stories that they could find. Often when they couldn't find a story, they'd just make one up. I think that's exactly what happened in Van Meter. Just look at how events are supposed to have played out. A monster descends on a small, unassuming town. At first, it's only seen momentarily from a distance, but as time goes on, the monster gets bolder, the encounters become more dramatic and violent. Whipping the town into a panic, eventually a posse is formed which tracks the creature to its lair, an abandoned mine, where, surprise, it lives with its mate. There are two of them, and worse, they're completely impervious to all the weapons that the townsfolk have. Finally, in a last-ditch effort to stop them running around town, they seal the creature's lair aka the mine, ending the crisis before leaving the fate of the creatures uncertain. That doesn't sound like an account of real events. Frankly, in another era, it could be the plot of a pulp adventure magazine story or a B-list movie. I think that's because that's basically what it was. A fun, tall tale concocted to sell newspapers. End quote. So Mr. Stone goes on to state that his hypothesis will disappoint a lot of people, but he doesn't think that it is that disappointing. He points to the staying power the story has had. It's been more than 120 years and we're still talking about it. He thinks that's wonderful and it's worth celebrating. Now we get into some more sciencey stuff, and these people try to explain this away, and I'm going to do my best, but there's some $4 words in here with a bunch of consonants strung together, so...
Yeah, that's not our strong suit.
No, it's not. So, in 2012, a group of paleo artists and scientists worked together to publish a unique and speculative view of dinosaurs called All Yesterday. This publication provided a springboard for the diversification in ideas on how extinct animals may have looked and acted. It started the new paleo art craze and is probably the reason for thinking about the muscle, fat, and soft tissue of dinosaurs analytically. One of the many results of this publication was Cryptozoologicon. This was a similar book similar to the All Yesterday book, but it solely dealt with cryptids. In it, John Conway Darren and C.M. Kozman, along with Dr. Darren Naish, created an exercise in speculative biology by theorizing hypothetical animals to life in much the same way as many cryptozoologists do, but without taking it serious. As Dr. Naish states in the book, quote, what cryptozoologists need to appreciate is that the cryptids they endorse are speculative entities and proposals about the evolutional biology and ecology of such hypothesized creatures. Sorry.
Come
Jesus.
on,
man, I was doing so good with them other ones. I got stumbled up on the hypothesizing.
We got a reputation to uphold, man.
Yeah, don't forget, we educate the Utes of America.
And we do a dang fine job of it.
Yeah. So in their book, the three men state that there is a large network of tunnels, caverns, and caves throughout the subterranean landscape of Van Meter. Sometime in the mid-late 1800s, people mined these areas and accidentally broke into some of these caves. Many of the caves have a species of large bat living in them that eat anything that has been unlucky enough to fall inside the cave. Now, they go on to state that quote, what the people of 1903 Van Meter thought of as a prehistoric extraterrestrial or hellish in nature creature was very much a naturally occurring species that had evolved alongside every other organism on the planet for millions of years. Shit.
I don't think that's how you pronounce it.
No, it's not. Luminopter. I got it in my head and I can't get it to come out. Luminopteryx lucitops translates to bright-headed light-winged bat. So Luminopteryx is a genus belonging to the theropod group, which is the flying fox group of living bats. Unlike the rest of the flying foxes, the Luminopteryx has adapted to a life in the caves and has a wingspan of 4 foot 7 inches and a body weight of just under 3 pounds. It has developed a much better night vision and echolocation than that of the other bats. Its skin is a pasty whitish orange color, and its body and arms are covered in a very short fur of strawberry blonde to cinnamon color. Its eyes are degenerative and small, though they retain the ability to see. They have poor eyesight and use their ears and nose to sense their surroundings. So here's the key to all of this ecology talk. This Luminopteryx sports a bioluminescent organ vaguely in the shape of a horn on its head, but it's made of soft tissue, and it glows a yellow color. This quote-unquote horn is used for communication with other individuals of the same species and to attract prey within the caverns, basically like a moth to a flame. They often do not come out of the cave systems due to being more adapted for the regulated climate of the caves, but will venture out at night from time to time. The male version does have a much larger quote-unquote horn than that of the female. The breeding season, which is around fall, sees the birth of just one pup at a time. The pup weighs about 1 pound and lives off its mother's milk for up to 6 months before being weaned. Now, these bats or flying foxes will use a hopping gait while eating, drinking, or doing anything else that it may need to do on the ground. These creatures have seen their population decrease due to the presence of humans mining the caves in which they live. The 2 Van Meter visitors seen in 1903 may very well have been some of the few remaining Luminopteryx, and it is entirely possible that the species is currently extinct, though smaller groups of them may still remain deeper within the cave systems. The only known entrance of which was caved in with dynamite and bricks thanks to the residents of 1903 Van Meter, Iowa. With all that said, what do you think of the Van Meter visitor, and what do you think it actually was? Or was it all just a hoax?
If it wasn't just outright made up for the newspapers, I think that's an interesting theory because, yeah, yellow journalism was definitely a thing and a problem. If it wasn't completely made up and these men actually reported seeing something, I think they actually saw something they couldn't explain. Because they're not going to risk their reputations on something like this.
Yeah,
you're a doctor in the town, and all of a sudden you're going to be known as a quack because...
Well, and you've got other prominent business leaders in the town. This is a small town in 1903. This is not a thriving metropolis.
No, I mean, have you ever... It's probably still a very small town.
Well, you keep talking. I'll Google it.
I'm Googling it. You don't Google it. I'm Googling it. You keep talking.
Well, I will say this. We could have had a man on the street if I'd have known about it. A buddy of mine was just out there.
As of the 2020 census, they have a total population of 1,484.
Okay,
but it is part of the West Des Moines metropolitan statistical area. However, that don't mean shit.
Well, they also have the Robert William Andrew Feller Farmstead out there, but it's closer to Boonville. If down in the actual city, I don't think it's going. They have a restaurant called the Fifth Quarter, and I think that's it. They have a Casey's gas station. Bulldog Stadium press box. I guess that's the Van Meter High School there. What am I doing? What are we doing here, Googly? We got a Trindle Park. We got the water tower. Where's the damn... We got a quarter horse farm. There's nothing, boys and girls. I mean, nothing. They got a Methodist church. With the squirrel went berserk at the first. They have a outdoor power and auto shop. They got a Baptist church.
Well, that's good.
They got Baptist and Methodist all just walking around together. I got American Legion, so we know where everybody's at.
Dang straight.
The way the town's laid out, that train would have come right through there. I mean, you can't. It's not giving me anything really worth a flip to look at, but I don't know. We can take a street view, and you're right. There is nothing in this town. They got a veterinarian clinic on the back street.
I mean, it's Iowa, dude. I mean, I've never been to Iowa, but I'm assuming it's not the same, but kind of similar to Kansas. And if you're not in them big cities, dude, there's nothing. There's nobody.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They're off of, looks like they're about what, 15, 20 minutes south of I-80. And I-80, the closest towns to them, like you said, is Des Moines. But dang, that's a good hour drive.
And heck, the way I'm feeling about the human population these days, I might just move to Van Meter, to be honest with you.
I'm with you, brother.
Like, gosh.
I'm with you. They got an RV park, son. We're there.
Sounds good to me, man.
I don't like, as I was doing my research, the yellow journalism does kind of give you pause, but like the guy said that's from Iowa, this story has like resonated for over 120 years. People still talk about it in Iowa. It was just some 19th century version of clickbait. It wouldn't have resonated this long, I don't think. No, I don't either. And you know, you got a farm implement dealer, probably the only farm implement dealer probably within 2 or 3 counties back in 1903. Like you said, a doctor. You got what's the other guy's name? I'm trying to go back and look at my notes. You got Clarence Dunn. They didn't really tell what his occupation was, but you know, that's the thing. Like, also, they make a point to say that there were footprints cast, and it was a 3-toed footprint. I don't know, man. I really want to believe. I really do, because all of those, you know, flying dinosaur videos and stuff like that, Thunderbirds are right up my alley, dude. So
absolutely.
You got the local hardware store owner, a doctor, implement dealer, sheriff, and then you got the townspeople and the people that work at the brick factory and tile factory. It's just, and then how one person shoots at it, wakes up the neighbor, he comes out, and they both see it and estimate its height. Now, one thing working against them is most of the sightings were after midnight. But again,
what are you saying? They drunk?
No. And that's one thing that I did read was we're not talking about a town full of drunks. We're talking about prominent business owners. And the doctor was actually asleep from working late. And then the hardware owner actually lived above, or the hardware store owner lived above his hardware store. So it's not like they were out getting drunk on or getting twisted on the firewater. But anyway, I don't think, you know, I'm trying to get back to the theories. You got the, could it be a animal that kind of flew through the area and just happened to be there for a couple of nights? Maybe. I don't think it was, I really don't think it was a hoax, even though, like I said, the yellow journalism gives you pause when you're trying to put this down. UFO or alien never crossed my mind when I was reading the stories. Misidentification doesn't really work because, we kind of covered that there's nothing in the area that it could have been. Now, granted, they may not know what a kangaroo is, but the guy actually said, kind of contradicting that, the guy said that when the train went by and it spooked it, it hopped like a kangaroo. I don't really get paranormal vibes. It didn't do anything that was supernatural, I didn't think. And then...
What do you mean? It's a freaking winged, 9-foot-tall winged bat. You're not getting supernatural vibes? None? You just think it's a natural creature that I'm thinking
it's a cryptozoological man-child, a bat and man. I'm just joking. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Come on,
when I say paranormal or whatever the hell I said, I'm talking like ghosts. I don't get ghost vibes.
I got you. Yeah, I agree with that.
Mass hysteria, I don't get that because really, other than when the people at the brick and tile factory saw it go down the mine shaft, that's the only time they got the town in a frenzy to come take care of it. It was people were talking about it in the town, but you only had five men that had seen it. Granted, like you said, there's 1,000 people there now, so you're probably talking a couple of hundred then.
I tried to look up the 1900 census, and there were so little people there that they didn't even record it.
Okay, well then maybe we don't have a couple hundred. Maybe we have 60.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, but I'm just saying that's what Google said is that there's no information available. But the total population of Iowa in 1900 was 2 million.
I also don't think it's that bat that they say could have been back then, but more than likely is extinct now. It's just too small. It's like half the size of what they reported. And I understand, like you said earlier, eyewitness testimony you have to take with a grain of salt, but I just don't see them actually messing up the height by 50%. A 4-foot fox bat versus an 8-foot galloping bat creature.
I don't know. I mean, see, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I think they saw, if it's not completely made up, they saw something unknown. No, not sure of the source or whatever, but where it came from, what it was, but they're not stupid men.
No, and I think
they're not drunken yokels. They're prominent people.
Yeah, and the one thing that I kind of tie this to is the Skinwalker Ranch when the Shermans owned it, and that portal opened up, and they saw things coming in and out of that portal that didn't make any sense. It could have truly been a transdimensional being that just kind of came into and then found its way back. I mean, that's as good a theory as any of the other ones that we went over.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Who knows, man?
All right. We'll let you decide.
This mysterious bruise. We don't have answers. We don't know.
We don't know shit about the man.
That's what I'm saying.
Speaking of which, oh God, I was telling you before we started recording, we got this new study hall period, and I'm not going to name it because that'll give away everything. But sitting there today trying to get my wits about me about what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to do the actual study period. I kept replaying Django, the whole thing, and then you could insert what I told you it was called into the whole. Can we not agree that the bags were a good idea? That's the way I feel. I feel like this study. Can we not agree that the study period was a good idea? We just went about it wrong.
Right. I agree with you.
And then I even went one further, and I was like, for quarter one study period, no bags. Quarter two, we go full regalia.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, Fun times on the old teaching front. I guess my thing is we've had so many pre-planning days. I just want to get in the swing of teaching. Just let me teach, man. Because once we start teaching, everything else will fall into place.
Well, all the things that they change and they do, they wonder why people don't want to teach anymore. Not only do you have to deal with parents with their unruly kids that they won't parent, and then they blame you, and then the administration don't back you up. You got to deal with all this new highfalutin crap that they try to throw on you every single solitary year. They change education every 3 years.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it come full circle.
The way to teach is changed every 3 years.
When I first started, the lady that was retiring within 2 years of when I started said, I've already seen this, and it was vertical teaming. She goes, we didn't call it vertical teaming. We called it something else. And I said, yeah. And she goes, yeah. She said, you in it long enough, boy, you'll see it too. And by God, she was right, because guess what's coming back down the pipe? Vertical teaming. Right. I'm like, this is a novel idea that didn't work 20 fucking years ago.
What I love is when they get you in a room, they get the entire school system in a room, elementary, middle, high school, special ed, science, English, blah, 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 blah. They get you all in a single room, lecture you about differentiation.
Yeah, diversification. Yeah. I want y'all to sit here for 4 straight hours and listen to a guy that only taught 2 years at a private school teach you how to reach these inner city kids.
Every single solitary one of you from every walk of education sit in a room together, and we'll talk about how to differentiate for your students.
Yeah. I did tell, when we were in PD, I told one lady, she was like, how are you, you're pretty consistent with your test scores. I said, well, I didn't really put it together until I saw a TikTok video of a teacher sitting in his car, and he goes, you know how I lead the district in test scores every year for the last 6 years? I decided about 10 years ago, fuck all this new curriculum. I'm going to teach them the way I learned. And I taught them just like Mr. Smith taught me. And guess what? They know it.
Dude, that happened at one of my schools. This guy he's had some of the highest social study scores in the state of Georgia. So good that, like, the principal of the other high school was like, I want you to come over and teach my teachers how you teach. And he's like, you don't want me to do that. He's like, why not? And he told him exactly how he taught. And he's like, he didn't ever hear from him again. He didn't give a dang about the new, because we were on Apple U, iTunes U. You had to put everything on iTunes U, and you had to do this, and everything was digital because we were 1-to-1 iPads. That son of a gun wrote the standard that he was going to teach that day on the board, and the students had to come in, write that standard down, and then write his notes that he lectured on, and then gave a reading assignment from a section, like a primary source, and they had to answer 3 or 4 or 5 questions about it. He didn't do none of the iPads and do all that stuff that they were trying to force on him. And he's like, I've been here for 27 years. You're not getting rid of me. So, and every year consistently, some of the highest scores in the state.
Yeah, we worked with a guy that did basically the same thing. He lectured, gave them in that ginormous Georgia U.S. history book. He kept a whole classroom set, and he would give them what he went over. They had to answer the questions at the end of the section. Every year, he was 75, 85% pass rate on. Back then, it was the end of course in U.S. history. But yeah, man, it's just
get off on this, man. Nobody listening gives a shit about
Everybody's done tuned out now. We're trying to fix education.
They want to hear our recommendations. We'll talk about this off the air.
My recommendation is have a little bit of grace when your kids go back to school, because I saw a thing today. The guy said, y'all need to just calm the hell down. You got teachers coming off summer break that ain't ready to deal with your stupid ass kids yet because you won't parent them at home. So a little bit of grace this first couple of weeks. Just be understanding. That's all I can tell you. Actually, I've not watched anything because we moved my son home, so I have nothing. I have no goodies.
Well, I'm going to recommend, I don't have none of that parenting wisdom because I ain't got no kids, but I'm going to recommend Trainwreck on Netflix. Trainwreck Storm Area 51.
Oh, I wanted to watch that. Is it good?
It's very good.
Is it really?
It gets wild. I recommend all the. I haven't seen all of them, but every train wreck I've seen is very, very good on Netflix. The one on the first one was on Woodstock '99, which is exceptionally good, and it was so good that they were like, "We need to make a whole series on this." They did one on Balloon Boy. They've done one on Rob Ford.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They've done one on. Hold on, I'll look it up. But the Storm Area 51 was very good. Let's see. Hold on. Just give me 1 second, everybody.
Speaking of which, all right, I'll give you a recommendation, and this is just a rabbit hole if you want to jump down it. Supposedly, and this is way out there in the weeds, so you're on your own if you research it. Supposedly, some people in the government got wind that they may be keeping a couple to 5 or 6 mermaids at Area 51, and that's when all of a sudden they had that tremendous fire out there.
Wouldn't that be something? They did Astro World, the Astro World tragedy, which is crazy. They did one called Poop Cruise.
I saw that thing flash by. I've never watched it.
Power goes out on a cruise, and let's just put it that way. The power goes out, the toilet stopped working. It is crazy. PI Moms, I've heard good things. I haven't watched yet. Rob Ford one was pretty crazy. There's one called The Cult of American Apparel. I haven't seen it. The Real Project X, I haven't seen it. But yeah, the ones I've seen are really good.
Well, you heard it here first. I know Poop Cruise has kind of got a cult following. All right, boys and girls.
Netflix has got some good stuff, man. Like the Untolds are good.
They have switched from the Indian cinema to the Scandinavian cinema, I've noticed. There's a bunch of crime dramas on there that are English dubbed. Some of them are pretty good, though. The R Murders, I'm pretty sure that's not how you pronounce it, but it's got the A with the colon turned sideways over the A, and then it's R-E Murders. It's pretty good. I've watched a couple episodes of it.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to give 2 recommendations. You know what is really good? I think it's left Netflix, though, unfortunately. It was called Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself.
I have not seen that one, no.
It is awesome. Like, if you got to, I guess you got to find it somewhere else. I think it left Netflix. But the concept of the show is this woman's married to a man named Kevin. And when Kevin's on screen, it is like King of Queens, Everybody Loves Raymond type sitcom. But then when he leaves the room or she leaves the house or whatever, it turns into like a single camera drama, like Ozark.
Oh yeah,
like drama, like drugs and like crazy stuff. It is a super cool concept. Again, you'll have to find it on your own because I think it left Netflix. But man, if you're into unique concept shows, it's really, really good. But yeah, like when he's on screen, it's like goofy, like all kinds of shenanigans ensues. But he leaves and she's left in a world of like depression and trying to figure out how to basically kill him.
Sweet Jesus.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good.
All right. Well, Coach, you got anything else?
Oh, you know I don't.
Deuces.